Hi, and welcome back to my sewing room. It is a cold February day, and it's snowing again here in northeastern Pennsylvania. So I thought this would be the perfect day to show you how to thread paint snow. I made this quilt in January of 2019, and I was planning on teaching a class with the techniques I used in the winter of 2020, but that did not happen. So I'd love to share the process with you now. In this first video, I'll show you how to get started. First, we need to pick out our supplies. So you can see here I've gathered some supplies from my stash. Let's take a look at the fabrics first. For the snow, I've pulled 3 tone-on-tone white fabrics. This one though is reading very cream, so that's not a contender for me. Between these two, I think I'll choose this one. Looking up to these fabrics for the sky, I chose gray because it's a cold, dreary, snowy day, and I want the viewer to feel the cold of this wintry scene. I want all the focus to be on the snow for this particular art quilt, so keeping the sky simple without a whole lot of embellishments, mainly just the free motion quilting, will help to achieve that. These 2 fabrics are tone on tone, this is a solid, and when looking at all 3 together, I think I'll go with this darker gray at the top. Okay, let's pull out our chosen fabrics and we'll take a closer look at them with the rest of our supplies. You can see I laid out the other tone-on-tone gray fabric, but decided it wasn't enough of a contrast. So the original darker fabric that we chose is at the top of the screen, and that's what I'll end up using for this project. But for now, the lighter one's going to stay where it is as we take a look at the rest of our supplies. First, let's take a look at our threads. Okay, to begin, the thread for the sky. I chose this gray Aurifil. It's a 50 weight cotton thread. I chose cotton for the sky because again, I want the focus to be on the snow, and cotton thread has a matte appearance to it, so it'll help the sky recede into the background and not be as prominent. Most of our work and attention is going to be on the snow, so that's why I think the Aurifil is a good choice. Next, for thread painting snow, we're going to need white. So I've pulled out the 4 whites that I have. I have a Superior thread, So Fine, which is a 50 weight thread. This is a polyester, but it reads more like a cotton because it has a dull matte finish. It doesn't have the shine like so many other polyesters. This is Glide, a 40 weight polyester thread, and it has a beautiful shine to it. Okay, so this is an embroidery thread that Brother makes called Simplicity Pro. Embroidery thread is a good strong thread to use for thread painting, plus it has that sheen and shine that's going to help our snow sparkle. Last is a Madeira thread, which is a rayon, and similar to polyesters, rayon threads have that beautiful sheen to them. Now adding some shadow details to the snow will give it dimension and interest. So for any spots where we want some dark shadows or reflecting colors, I've chosen these threads here. There's 3 Simplicity Pro threads, this one, and this one. This is a Glide thread. And this is by Superior Threads called Magnifico. And we can use these colors for any areas where we need shadow or a little bit of depth to our snow. And this last row of threads here, we can use as blender colors. To go from white to some of these shadow colors would be too dramatic. So we can use some of these colors to fade in and blend our whites with some of our shadow colors. Another category of threads we might want to use would be some metallics or specialty threads. Here's a closer look at some of the metallic threads. This is an iridescent one from Coats & Clark. This is by Sulky. This silver one is Metler. And this last one on the larger spool is from Superior Threads. So these can be fun to add to thread painting projects to really add some sparkle. To add some areas of texture, we can use thicker threads. So I've pulled 2. This is a white from Madeira. They call it a Decora thread. I think you can pick up on camera, it's extra thick. And then this is Razzle Dazzle by Superior Threads. You can see on the label, it says it's for bobbin work or couching. And when we use any of these thicker threads, that's how we're going to have to apply it to our art quilts. They're too thick to go through the tension disc and needle on our machine. So our 2 options are to do bobbin work or couch it onto our quilt. We'll see as we go along which option is going to work best for this project. Okay, so some other ways to add interest to our snowy art quilt would be overlays. So down here on the left, I have two options. This is an organza, and I actually use this in the dog quilt. And this pile here is white tulle. These overlays can add just a subtle difference in sheen to our snow, and we will apply them before we do any thread painting. Another overlay you can use would be Angelina fibers. And that's what you'll see in the bags up here and in these 3 bags down here. Angelina fibers are a very thin, fine fiber that are available in a rainbow of colors. And you fuse them together with the heat from your iron to create your own custom overlay. They are very luminescent, so they work great to add some dramatic highlights to a project. Another way to add texture and interest to our snowy scene would be with specialty yarns, ribbons, and embroidery floss, like I have up here. In most cases, these would be couched onto our project. Okay, and the final thing I pulled that we might add to our quilt would be some beads. So I have some seed beads in a white and an iridescent that I might add to the quilt at the very end. Okay, so that's a look at some of the supplies we're going to use for our wintry snow scene. I'm going to clear this away and get the sky and snow fabric pieced together with one seam down the middle and then make my quilt sandwich. Okay, so here is our quilt sandwich. I've got my gray sky, my white snow, and I did go ahead and cut out a green evergreen tree from some batik, and I did put some fusible on the back. I haven't fused it yet though, because I'm only going to let it hang into the sky just a little bit, and I think as a way to make it easier so I'm not quilting around it, I'm going to remove this and quilt the sky so I don't have to be bumping up against it while I'm quilting. And then we'll fuse it in place before we start doing the snow. So I'm just going to get started quilting the sky. I'll give you a quick peek at my layers first. I have my snow white fabric and then my gray sky. And what you see underneath is a piece of white cotton fabric. I put that there originally because I did not think I was going to have any white batting. I didn't think I was going to have a piece big enough for this project. And I didn't want the cream batting shining through this snow fabric and giving it a off-white, creamish kind of look. So my top layer, this white fabric, my batting, and I used white for the backing. So that's my quilt sandwich. I'm going to get started quilting the sky. Okay, so I went ahead and fused our evergreen tree to the quilt sandwich. So coming up in the next video, I'll show you how to determine where our shaded spots are going to go to use those darker threads that we picked out, and then we'll get started thread painting snow. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.